What's up, guys? Today on Locked On Bulldogs, we talk running backs. Where do they stand going into this season? How do they rate on a scale of 1 to 99? All that coming up now. Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, what is up, guys? I am Daniel. What?
He's Daniel.
What are you talking?
Oh,
I talk first. I've declined to speak first. I am declining to speak first. You may speak first.
Hey, everybody, this is Locked On
So
Bulldogs.
what I was going to say
is Daniel. Welcome here to Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, part of Locked On Atlanta. Get over there. Subscribe to us over on YouTube if you're watching us. Hit the audio side. Give us a follow over there as well. Leave us 5-star rating and review. We are fans. We talk like fans. You're going to join us in talking like fans, as you always do. And Florida Bama fan are going to continue showing us while we believe that the education system in America is broken. And there's no fixing it in those states. So sorry, not sorry. But I digress. Like Daniel talked about at the beginning of the episode, we're going to talk running backs today. Here are the sections we're going to do. We're going to talk about the State of the Union, where we are at running backs. We're going to talk about rating of last year's group and the rating of this year's group. Here's a little hint. We're high on the running backs. Yes, sir, Daniel. So let's start there with the State of the Union, as it were. Let's talk about the players who we have, who we lost, who has gone on to greener pastures, as it were, and who we got coming back. Two biggest names that we got gone, Cook and Zeus onto the NFL. Cook and Zeus, second round, third round draft choices. Buffalo Bills as well as the Raiders. They are going to be
Rookie of the Year, 16-1. Rookie of the Year, James Cook. Just a little bit.
Go on.
A little bit on there.
If y'all don't think he's going to be explosive in a already explosive offense with a weapons aplenty and a quarterback that can run and be mobile, y'all fooling yourself. He's going to be explosive.
Did you see what Clyde Edwards-Helaire did? And he got hurt his rookie year for the Chiefs.
That's
but
right.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire came out. And listen now, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a good back. But James Cook is a more explosive athlete than CEH is any day of the week. So
No doubt.
I'm just saying, put a little on there. Yeah, big losses for Georgia. They got Branson Robinson coming in, but it's really more about the guys that were already there. I think for this year's Georgia team, we're obviously going to talk about them quite a bit when we get into this year's rankings for the position groups. But the State of the Union, Clint, is as follows, and I quote. RBU. That would be the State of the Union. The Union is doing fine.
No, it's unified.
We are who we are. We are running back university.
Yep.
Please, if you have only watched football in the last decade and a half, you may excuse yourself from the adults table.
Please.
We're talking now, but do us all a favor and talk to us more about Mark Ingram. Heck of a player.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Ingram. Yeah. So that's all. Keep it classy and name an Alabama player that played before Nick Saban got there, and then we'll start having a conversation.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. So running back university is alive and well. We're doing fine.
Yes,
Todd Monken's offense is multiple, which means that Georgia is not predictable in our running game as we have been in past years. And that only is going to serve to help the backs as we progress. Clint and I have been big on that being a key aspect to Todd Monken's offense. And I think you saw it play out last year. You saw Zamir White continue his steady work of being a workhorse type back who goes out and gets the job done. And then you saw James Cook really explode and have the career year that we all hoped he would have. You saw Kenny Mack used in a lot of different ways before his injuries. Kendall Milton was thriving in the system last year, and we expect, I think this year, not to get ahead of ourselves, but I think we expect a step forward in the progression for the running backs
exactly
in
right.
Georgia. So exciting time to think about running back in the University of Georgia.
Look, the cupboard is full. We've already explained this last week. We talked about how there's so much talent coming back. We have stars aplenty, 4-star, 5-star kids. Branson Robinson, we are high on. And like we've already talked about, Dejon Edwards, Kenny Mack, and Kendall Milton can carry a load of this offense perfectly fine. We've seen them do it, and they will continue to do it this year and get more reps to do it. We're going to come back after this, talk about maybe the rating from last year and how we see it transitioning to the rating for this year. But first, I want to let you know about Built Bar. Built Bar is the tastiest protein bar on planet Earth. How do we know? We've tried them. Literally not going to say anything other than, again, they've been in our mouths, on our taste buds, and every single one is delicious. Let me tell you, delicious. It tastes like a candy bar, but in fact, it comes masqueraded as a protein bar. But oh, wait, it's not masquerading as, in fact, a protein bar. High in protein, high in fiber, low in sugar. It goes pre-workout, post-workout, middle of workout if you are so inclined, meal replacement, on the go, whatever you need. Built Bar is your option for the best tasting protein bar on planet Earth. And right now, if you head over to builtbar.com, put in the promo code Locked On 15, get 15% off your entire order. 1 Built Bar box, 2 Built Bar boxes, 10, 100. You're going to get 15% off your entire order. That's Locked On 15 at builtbar.com, the tastiest protein bar on planet Earth.
So we do these grades. This is how we rate when we look back at an off season. We look forward. Maybe you're new to the show. Glad you're here. We think about this the way that you would think about a player in Madden, the football game. All right. So if you're familiar with this game, you got a certain player, and he grades out in a lot of areas. He's assigned a number in a lot of these areas, but they all accumulate and tabulate together to give them an overall rating. These ratings never exceed 99. 99 is kind of the highest that you could ever be. There's no such thing as a perfect football player. And there's also no such thing as a perfect football unit, because instead of grading individual players in our running back field, we are grading the unit as a whole on a scale of 1 being the worst and 99 being absolutely as good as any backfield in college football could ever be. So let's just say you had, I don't know, Todd Gurley and Nick Chubb playing in the same backfield. That would probably be a 99. And so where do you have this group from last year, led by Zamir White, James Cook, some key contributions from some other guys? Where do you have that group grading out, Clint, and why?
I'm going to start with the floor of this group, and I think many of us forget what this running back group did. We anticipate the Sony Michel, the Nick Chubb, the Todd Gurley. We anticipate that, in which it is off tackle right, off tackle left, off tackle right, toss sweep left, maybe pitch it around a little bit more. And we anticipate them getting these type of plays that we're so accustomed to 10, 15, 20 years ago. And all of a sudden we forget that in Todd Monken's offense, a couple things are very, very inevitable. 1, ball gets tossed around a lot to lots of different players. 2, it's not predictable. 3, it's still power run, but not the power run you thought or in your mind think it is, as your Sega Genesis has power run outlined in its little schematics. If you look back in this last group, I'm going to give it a 91, Daniel. This group for me was a 91, which might be a little higher based upon where this offense really, really saw its leap forward. But I'm going to give it a 91 because if you look at James Cook in the downfield threat on the sidelines, the wheel routes, if you look at Zamir White getting the yardage when we need the death march that Kirby dictates at the end of the game, where we want to squeeze the anaconda life out of people, just gripping you until you have no oxygen left. It's suffocating. They did all of those things very, very well. Now, was it as explosive? No, it wasn't as explosive as we've seen before. It wasn't in the upper echelon, but it was still really good and got the job done. So I'm going to give it a 91, Daniel, for last year's group. What say you?
Yeah, you know what? I was going to go somewhere around 90, but then, and you mentioned it, then I remembered the Kirby Death March. And let's just call something what it is. If you create a name for a style of play based on a single unit's ability to take over the game,
correct,
a la the Kirby Death March, that group probably needs some more of your respect. Because I'm going to tell you this. You say not as explosive. I say don't tell that to James Cook streaking down the sidelines. Because some of those, and they weren't all wheel routes. Some of them he was split out wide, and he just ran a go route. And Stetson Bennett just hucked and chucked and touchdown city. Tell that to James Cook in the national championship game. Tell it to Zamir in some of the big runs that he had this year. But the real truth about this running back unit, Clint, is that when we needed them,
there it is.
They were more than enough, more than capable each and every time. I take you back, Clint, to the Arkansas game. Do you recall the Arkansas game, Clint? Do you know how many times Stetson Bennett put the ball in the air in the Arkansas game?
All I remember is that he put that lip hammer in about maybe the third quarter, Daniel.
It was less than 10 passing attempts, Clint, that he had in the game. We just came out and drove it down Arkansas's throat. And that was a defense, by the way, that was heralded, that played well throughout the season.
Yo, I made fun of him last year. Bumper Pool might be a really, really, really good linebacker in the SEC. Like top 3-4 linebackers in the SEC.
It won't ever change the fact that his name is Bumper Pool.
I know. It won't. But I'm just saying.
Nothing will change that. But to his credit, good football player. Now, Georgia just came and marched the ball right down their throat. That's a testament to who this group is. It's a testament to what they were able to accomplish. They were everything that we needed them to be. And so I give them a 93. I think I think underrated unit on last year's team. When I'm thinking of underrated units, that is maybe the first unit that comes to my mind on last year's team.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe quarterback because they're
stop it.
He's just rated so lowly that he has to be underrated because he's literally rated in the toilet.
But he can at least duck below the low bar that people give him, Daniel, because he's only like 5'6".
He's virtually a hobbit.
Yes.
We're dealing with just Bilbo Baggins.
Just round doors everywhere, hairy feet. Hey, we're going to come back after this, but Daniel's going to let you know about BetOnline.
Well, BetOnline, they're your online sportsbook experts. Listen, don't freak out about the Braves, guys. By the way, that's the Braves logo in the back of Clint. I just need to say it out loud.
This is the World Series trophy.
This is the Series.
You notice how there's no line on the top of the A.
There's no mullet coming off that A. Okay. Just learn something and then talk. Don't freak out about the Braves. They're rounding into form. Have you seen what Ronald Acuna Jr. is doing?
Everything that I want in life. Everything I want in life.
BetOnline.net is the place that you go if you want to place a little baseball wager. If you want to place a little NBA playoffs wager, here's maybe a wager you could go for. How many people will be injured on plays that are not called fouls in the NBA playoffs? Because
all of them.
It's a high number of people. If you want to make wagers on anything from cricket to horse racing to the NFL, all of these things can be found at betonline.net. And right now, when you go there, enter the promo code Locked On. It's going to give you a bonus on your initial deposit. That's free money on your initial deposit, which means when you deposit money, they give you more money, and then you take that money, You wager it on a sporting event of your choosing. You win. You make money. You cash out. You are good. BetOnline.net. It is the official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Bulldogs podcast, the only place that Clint and I trust to place wagers online, and you should too. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts.
All right, so this next crew coming in, again, Branson Robinson is fresh blood into it. Dajon Edwards, Kenny Mack, Kendall Milton, some of the people that are well established within this group already, Daniel, have been in very, very competitive games, has toted the rock quite a bit. Compared to last year, that we just made aggregate, and maybe aggregate trigger some of you Twitter folks, because Daniel, right now, Alabama fan wants you to know that if you were to do the aggregate of point totals and points given away, they won the season. I'm not kidding you.
Is that how football works? Is that
look?
Someone tell me.
Ben Dukes and John Tweed Sports on a thread where Alabama fan is out here talking about the aggregate being their now linchpin to argumentation that they lost the national championship.
To their credit, they are the national champions of the offseason. They're killing it. They are having a superb offseason. Well done for y'all.
Okay, so aggregate of 92 between R2, 93, and 91. Give them a 92. Compare that to this year's group. What would you rate this year's running back core, Daniel?
Now, it's going to sound weird because I think this running back group is going to be more productive.
Guys, just so you know, this is what's infuriating being a co-host with this man. Like I can already see the wheels turning. What he's gonna, and it's gonna be maddening. I'm gonna get triggered. This is gonna be a thunder and lightning situation.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah,
I think this group's gonna be more productive.
Okay.
I think they're going to be relied upon a little bit more as well.
I do.
So if you think through, how does that exactly relate in terms of like their overall rating? I'm going to put them exactly the same. I got them at a 93. I try not to think about it in relation to last year's group, but when I think about this year's running back group, the number that just makes sense to me is 93. And I'll give you my explanation, and then I'll allow you to, if you want to offer a retort or whatever. It's fine. I have them at a 93. And here's why. I think there are two stars in this backfield.
Here we go.
And I want to just talk about them. I want to just talk about the stars. But it probably should be said that at this moment of my life, I'm still not sold on Kenny McIntosh as a running back for the University of Georgia. I'm still not sold on Kenny Mack. And here's the thing about it.
What's the thing?
Who's the comp to Kenny Mack? Now I know not necessarily the comp, but we've talked about Brian Herrien a lot when we've talked about Kenny Mack.
We have.
And Brian Herrien, damn good dog.
Good dog.
Not the same type of player. I'd say Herrien, a lot more physical. Kenny Mack, heck of a lot better set of hands than Brian Herrien ever dreamed of. But I think that's the type of Kenny Mack is. He might wow you with a tip catch on the sideline, but he's not exactly going to wow you with big explosive plays, right? Is that fair? Is that fair to say? That's not really his game, Kenny Mack, the big explosive play.
The James Cook 78-yard run, no, that's not him.
I just don't know that when you don't have the ability to go big explosive plays, you can't be as inconsistent as I've seen from Kenny McIntosh. And that's the big knock on him is he's been wildly inconsistent in my mind. Now, I think that Kendall Milton and Dajon Edwards are going to be stars this year. I really do think that both of those guys are going to show themselves to be irreplaceable in the backfield. And so I'm not worried about the group as a whole, but if we had, the best backfield I can remember at the University of Georgia ever in my life, I mentioned the Todd Gurley and, Nick Chubb on the same field, but they weren't on the same field all that often.
Nope.
The best backfield any of us can remember is Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, DeAndre Swift. Those three guys. When your third guy is DeAndre Swift,
yep,
that's the problem with this backfield. The only problem that I see with this backfield is that our third guy, I think, is going to be a fairly significant drop off from the first two. And I know that might not sit well with some of you, but that's my take.
I love Kenny McIntosh. For the record, I will ride or die with him. I think he is a very good back. He's been wildly inconsistent. All of your arguments are fair. Like, nothing you said I would even rebut. I say yes to all of them. I just happen to like him on top of all of those inconsistencies. But I'm going to tell you this right now. Dajon Edwards, the Frank Gore comp to him, just as the type of player that he is uncanny in all that its attributes, even down to personality of the guy. And if you all don't think by season's end, Dajon Edwards has a chance to be the number 2 back, just flat out, not even like no question about it. Right now, there's question. And if y'all don't think that he has a chance to become 1 back, if you're like, no, Kendall's guy on lockdown, watch yourself, because this man is a beast. Now, I happen to think Kendall will hold on to it, but my percentage chance of that. So you're right. I think the floor of this group is a little higher than last year's floor. I think the ceiling, I think the ceiling is actually a little higher as well because of those 2 top guys. But I'm going to go 92. So I think they're better than last year's group, but I don't think by much. And I think the ceiling, however, could be 95, 96.
Yes, I disagree. I think the floor of last year's group was much higher than this year's group. This year's group does not have Zamir White. Zamir White raises the floor of every group, because you get what you get with Zamir White, and he never underperformed from those expectations in terms of his floor. So I think this year's group, there's too many unknowns for the floor not to be lower. But I agree, the ceiling is higher for this group.
Hey, that does it for this group's rating of running backs. We're going to be doing this all offseason, so check back with us. Locked On Bulldogs here on Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, part of Locked On Atlanta. We will see you guys tomorrow.
See ya.